Hello, and welcome to the Un-American Football Show weekly prediction episode. I'm Alan, your host for today, and going through the scores from week 10 and making some wild predictions for week 11, we have Nate and Ross. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah, not too bad. I was in London today, doing office stuff. It was weird.
I'm always in London these days. We're just back from Barcelona, where it's actually nicer weather in London than it was in Barcelona.
Wow.
For a change, which is a real big plus point for England, I think, which is weird to see.
That's very weird. Yeah, I haven't done the London thing at all. I'm going in a couple of weeks, so last time I went, it was like a ghost town. So hopefully it's a little bit less ghosty. If that's a word, I don't know.
Yeah. It's basically back to the normal sort of chaos. It's awful.
Yeah, don't. The tubes are empty, actually, mate, Alan. You'll enjoy them. You have lots of space on the tube these days.
Cool.
I drove right into Central because I refused to be on public transport with the unwashed plebs.
Fair enough.
I was washed for a change. I'm still a pleb though, but I was washed.
There are always exceptions to the rule, right?
Yeah. Right. Anyway, week 10, another crazy week. Week 9, we said it was a crazy week, some strange results, but they went on games we predicted. Week 10, they caught us up, got some crazy games, crazy results, and they were on games we predicted. So let's just have a quick run through. I'm going to run through the whole lot, and then we'll just go for comment with you guys. So Thursday night football, we had the Ravens at Dolphins, Friday 1:20 a.m. We all went for the Ravens, and we were all wrong. Obviously didn't see it coming, but it was quite a shock. Then on Sunday, 6 p.m, we had the Saints at Titans. We just split a room in this one. Ross stuck with his fan favourite Saints, while Nate and I both went for the Titans, and the Titans won. So good for them. We also got a couple. I think we both got a bonus point in there as well, or maybe I got a bonus point and you didn't, Nate. I don't actually have that score right in front of me. So
I can confirm that you did and I didn't because I had an 8-point margin.
That tricky 8-point margin. I go for it often. It always screws me over. It's not worth it. Then Sunday 9:25, that was the Eagles at Broncos. Nate went with the Broncos, which was incorrect this time because they're another tricky team, impossible to predict. And the Eagles won, which Ross and I both had, but they won by more than we expected from memory. 2-point game for Ross, 1-point game for me. And then Sunday, Chiefs at Raiders. We all thought it was going to be close. We didn't all go for the same thing. Nate, you went for the Raiders. They lost as well, I'm afraid. Ross and I both went for the Chiefs, but it was a wider margin than we predicted. So the Chiefs actually woke up a bit this week. And then on Monday Night Football, Rams at 49ers with a clean sweep. We all thought it was going to be the Rams, and we were all wrong. I know, Nate, you absolutely hate the 49ers, so while watching that game, you were on my mind thinking about what you were going to say about this game. And then for the top fantasy point scorer, Nate, you went with Cooper Kupp, I went with Lamar Jackson, and Ross, you went with Travis Kelce. I will say, across the three, we all had decent scoring fantasy predictions there.
I think
they're
it's
all
only
plus 16 points.
It's only the second time where we've all chosen a player where it's actually been like a good fantasy score. Like there's always usually one person that accidentally picks an absolute dud.
Yeah, usually it's me. But this week, Patrick Mahomes, I've heard of him. He was the top fantasy scorer. So
he was, yeah.
Well done, Patrick. So that all shakes down to 2 points to Nate this week, 5 points for myself, and 3 points for Ross. So very low scoring week across the board, guys. What's gone wrong?
The Rams. I watched up until the pick six.
The first one.
The first one.
22nd in.
Yeah. So like, I basically saw the 49ers go 2 scores up, and I was like, all right, it's like 140. Fuck it.
Yeah. You said pick six. I thought you said pick, but yeah.
Yeah. Probably a good point to turn it off. Actually,
I was like, I'm done. I can't watch. I don't feel like I've always hated the 49ers, but I absolutely despise them right now. It's completely illogical. I just really hate them. I even like Shanahan. I like some of their players. Just them as a unit. It's just vile.
I think when Shanahan's offense is firing on all cylinders, like there's arguably not many prettier offenses to watch in football, but when you don't have the right talent behind it, i.e. you've got Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance as your quarterback at this point, even when you win games as handedly as he did against the Rams, it doesn't look like the prettiest style of football to watch. But I don't know. That said, they well and handedly truly thumped the Rams. Like the Rams looked awful, and they looked like a very, very regular football team, which is happening more often than not in the NFL on a week-to-week basis.
2 weeks in a row with the Rams now, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Otherwise, the Chiefs were always. Everyone was like, "Oh, well, the Chiefs will eventually put on a show again." It just happens to have happened now, and I don't want to talk about the Raiders. Fuck them. Or the Ravens. Fuck them too.
Just because they cost us points, or cost you points.
I don't like either of them. They can both get in the bin.
Well, the Ravens have struggled against seemingly lesser opposition this season. I didn't expect them to lose it, but I was watching it thinking they're still going to win this. They're still going to win this, and they didn't. They just never got in second gear. It was amazing watching like the D line. The D line was like 8 wide. Most times it's like playing Madden. If you just engage 8 every single play, it's hilarious. I've never seen anything like it. But in the same way that people have been talking about this blueprint for beating Mahomes and the Chiefs with 2 high safeties, maybe a D-line 8 strong is the way to stop Lamar, forcing him to throw the ball, and that's definitely his weakness. So it'd be interesting to see if other teams pick up on that and start doing the same in coming weeks. Okay, that's enough about week 10. Let's talk about week 11. It's an exciting week. I think there's some cracking games actually this week. It's actually quite hard to pick, but some of the primetime games are a bit uninspiring. Talking of uninspiring, let's talk about Thursday night football. We have the New England Patriots heading to Atlanta to take on the Falcons at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. 1:20 a.m. Friday. Nate, will you be staying up? And what's your prediction?
No. The only time I'm going to stay up to watch a Pats game is if the Colts are playing them or they're in the Super Bowl again. Fortunately, neither are happening this year. So,
shots.
I'm going to take the Pats, winning 34 points to 28. The same. I basically chosen that Super Bowl scoreline, just because it's funny. Mac Jones is looking quietly efficient. I hate it. The Pats' defense is looking somewhat noisily efficient, and I hate it.
Can I just say I just noticed that you had it 34-28, or at least I hadn't noticed until you said it. And I'm actually very, very happy with you that you've chosen that score.
That's a really funny scoreline. Like the whole situation. I really hate the Pats, but I know someone who is a Falcons fan that I'm not overly keen on. So that score is hilarious to me in ways that will never not be funny. So there we go.
I think I know said person as well. I'm also not that fond, but I've gone for a slightly different score. I've got the 34. But 34-10, I think this is going to be a blowout for me. I think the Patriots, as you say, they're clicking. Mac Jones is pretty safe with the ball. He doesn't put it into dangerous positions. The defense is good. I still don't really rate the Cowboys defense, and the Falcons couldn't score on them. So to give them 10, I suppose I'm giving them points because they're at home. But yeah, I think this is a Patriots win all day long. This is the sort of game that now the Falcons win if the last couple of weeks or anything to go by. But I'm still going with the Patriots, 34-10. What about you, Ross?
Yeah, just quickly, I think it's probably going to be more likely a blowout. It's just I have to put 34-28. I can't not put anything else for this score. It's just the way it's going to be.
When I was first looking at the stats for this game, I was expecting to see Atlanta high in the offensive standings and low in the defensive standings, as we kind of perhaps would have assumed before the season started. With we always probably thought the defense was going to be the weak point of that team. Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts would put up points, but actually they are in the bottom half of the league, below 20th in both offensive and defensive stats, and New England rank above them in both. Spurred on by Nate's hilarious score prediction, I'm going to change my score prediction to New England 28, Atlanta Falcons 3. Because I'm a Saints fan, and if you're an Atlanta fan watching this, tweet at me. We won't ever be friends, but you can tweet at me, and we'll exchange verbal abuse on Twitter, and both get our accounts banned. I think is the move.
That is a beautiful thing.
That is. To be honest, I forgot the final score. The 28-3 was the one that stuck with me, so I recognise that instantly. Okay, let's talk about Sunday, 6 p.m. Nate, your Colts are in a really interesting game again. They're travelling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Ross, what do you think is going to happen?
I, all of a sudden, don't trust the Buffalo Bills.
Mm.
And it's mainly stemming back to that Jacksonville Jaguars loss a couple of weeks ago. And all of a sudden, I trust the Colts a little bit more. I think they put up a good fight against the Tennessee Titans a couple of weeks ago. Didn't look convincing against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I think they have a good performance in them. And I'm picking the Colts to surprise Buffalo on the road in a very tight game, 21-20.
It's a very tight game. You can't get much tighter than that.
I don't know. I think the Lions and the Steelers might disagree.
Yeah.
It's just why we didn't predict that one last week.
Can you fucking imagine?
Yeah. So I completely get what you're saying, Ross. But I think looking around the league, there's a lot of teams that have had some surprise losses. Taking that as a bit of we need to not take anything for granted. My Cowboys definitely being an example of that. Rock up and score 40 burgers the following weeks. So I still trust the Bills to get the win here at home. I think I wasn't all that impressed by how the Colts managed the game against the Jags, and actually their game management I think is pretty poor. Quite often go up and then sort of labour through the rest of the game.
They lose.
And I think they need to play 4 quarters against this Buffalo Bills team, or they'll be punished. So I've got the Bills in a 2-scorer, 16 points to 26. Nate, who you got?
Yeah, I've got the Bills. I think at the moment they're going to rally at some point, and this will be it. They've had a little bit of a slip. They got humiliated by the Jags. They lost to the Titans pretty handily. I think they're going to bounce back a little bit. I think it's going to be a bad game. I put 31 points to 24 in favour of the Bills. But I think it's going to be quite a few 3-and-outs, especially from the Colts. I tweeted what I predict is going to happen.
You did.
And I did it I pinned it to my profile on Twitter. That's how confident I am that this is going to happen. So this is my prediction for the Bills at Colts. First quarter, Bills 7, Colts 13. Colts will have take a 13-0, early 13-0 lead. We'll go for 2 and botch it. Then the Bills will scrape one back. Half time, 21-10 in favour of the Colts. Again, the Colts will seem like, they're finally doing something right. End of third quarter, it'll be 24-21 to the Colts, and then it's going to end up 31-24 to the Bills because the Colts don't run the ball enough when we're ahead. That is what's going to happen. I
agree. It's going to be I agree it's going to be an ugly game. I think it's going to be an ugly 21-20, where it's like 7 each after the first quarter, nothing for 2 quarters, and then all hell might break loose in the fourth quarter.
Doesn't sound like the Colts, that.
Well, we'll see. I have faith in your Colts this week. So
I'm glad someone does.
Yeah, I think it's an intriguing game though. Moving on to sort of the later slate. Gone for the Cowboys and the Chiefs as the pick of the games. Funny that.
It's probably the
really.
pick of the weekend, right?
it's probably a game that most people would probably be looking forward to. Yeah, I guess. Myself, I'm sort of equal levels of nervousness and excited. But 9:25, Nate, who we got?
I've got Cowboys 38 points to 35. I think Patty Mahomes and his band of merry bellends have woken up a bit. And I think they're going to scrape themselves to a narrow loss. I think it's going to go off. I think all hell's going to break loose. I think it's just going to be a slugfest. You're going to have picks all over the place, fumbles. It's going to have literally everything. The only thing it's not going to have, it's not going to have two things: good refereeing or a safety. Everything else you can have, it will have. It's going to go off.
If you called for there to actually be a safety and there was one, I'd be very, very impressed.
The last time I predicted anything with the Cowboys, I said they'd score 35 points, and they did.
Yeah, well, I'm all for these predictions. So since picking this to be like on the slate, I was adamant I was going to be going for the Chiefs, but if I can't back a 7-2 Cowboys team that had their humbling a couple of weeks ago against the Broncos, I'm not sure I'm ever going to be able to back them against the Chiefs. So screw that. I've gone for the Cowboys. I'm going 28 points to 20.
Love it.
I think that the Chiefs have struggled on offense at times. If they follow the blueprint other teams have followed, not the Raiders' blueprint this past week, I think the Cowboys will be able to limit Patrick and co. Whereas the Cowboys' offense, I mean, both teams both scored over 40 this past week. So they're definitely dangerous offenses. I think everyone knows that. I just think that they'll be able to be a bit more efficient. I think they'll see quite a lot of Zeke and Tony Pollard in this one in particular. So yeah, 28-20. Let's go Cowboys. Ross, clean sweep?
No clean sweep. I don't know if the Chiefs are all the way back, but I do think this game is where I agree with Nate that all hell is going to break loose throughout the game. And there's going to be some shocking refereeing decision, as there is in most big games at this point in the NFL. All games at this point in the NFL. And amazingly, me and Nate actually do have the same scoreline, but you can just flip the winner with that. So you're close, Nate, but not quite on the money. Because I have the Chiefs winning 38 points to 35. This isn't the Cowboys of old. Their defense is a little bit better than it has been in years previous.
One player in particular is making that true.
Trayvon Diggs proves that on a weekly basis. But I still think that the Chiefs, even if they're not all the way back, even if they have another couple of down games after this, the offense is good enough to score many, many points against that Cowboys defense. So I have them scoring lots of points, 38 in fact. So Chiefs win for me.
38 would be a pretty bad number of points to
I think
let the Chiefs score, to be honest. But I mean, I'm not amazingly impressed by the Cowboys' defense. It's just better than it has been.
I think the point I'm trying to make is that we've predicted scorelines, and there's been crazier scorelines than we've predicted in terms of both victors and actual scorelines, like margin of victory.
You expect predictions to be boozy, and what actually happens to be kind of obvious. But actually, the NFL this year is boozy, and we're all like, no, we'll just have a cup of tea. You go on the hard stuff.
So I think
I get you.
what I'm saying is the Cowboys' defense can still be a decent defense, generally speaking. But the Chiefs can also score 38 points against them in a given week.
I'm going to jump in here, and I'm wildcarding myself.
Oh,
Cowboys 38, Chiefs 25. 20, not 25.
Whoa,
not 25.
Confidence.
Not 25. That's a weird score. 27.
There we go.
25 would involve a safety somewhere along the lines.
Yeah, I think so.
I think thinking about it, the Chiefs, I think they'll put up a good number of points. 27 is a good number of points. I don't think they're 35 against the Cowboys defense right now. So I had to change it. I felt very unconfident about that. As 35. 27 is much happier.
Well, I hope you're right. And we'll just say that the Kansas City Chiefs have as many interceptions on the season as Trayvon Diggs. So be interesting to see who wins on that one, the Chiefs defense or Trayvon. Let's have a look at Sunday Night Football. The Steelers are back again. God, it's just like, who's doing this scheduling? Absolute bastards. This is just an ugly team to watch, and they're playing the Chargers, who are really struggling in LA, not San Diego, as I nearly said.
I wish they were.
Ross. Oh yeah, they shouldn't have moved. Ross, who you got?
The Chargers aren't as good a team as we all potentially, or a lot of us thought they were. I think Alan was very suspicious about the Chargers and their early winning streak this season. They rank in the middle of the table on offense of points per game, and they're actually 26th in defensive points per game. That said, I think anybody could beat a Mason Rudolph-led team at this point in the young quarterback's career. So I'm picking the Chargers 24-10. Whether it's Big Ben, Mason Rudolph, or, heaven forbid, Dwayne Haskins. Joey Bosa is going to get 3 sacks this week, and there's going to be many turnovers by that Steelers offense, and the Chargers kind of get a get-right game on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, a bit of a boring one for me as well. I've gone for the same. I've also gone for the Chargers. I think you're right. Mason Rudolph is not really the quality that the Steelers need, and this offense is already sort of struggling a little bit. The offensive line's not great. They're really banged up on at wide receiver. I don't know if Chase Claypool's going to be back. If it's not, it's just Deontay Johnson and James Washington and Ray McLeod, I think his name is. And the only thing I know his name is because the company I work for, my big boss, is called R. McLeod. Despite R. McLeod's actually pretty good turnout last week, I don't think they're going to beat the Chargers. I was actually tempted to choose someone from this game for our fantasy pick of the week, but I might have to keep that up my sleeve. So I'm going to go 13 points, 26 to the home team Chargers. Nate, are you going for the Chargers too?
Obviously, yeah. 17 points to 10. The Chargers are honestly, the way they're going right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they finish the season right around the 500 mark. They're a proper ordinary team with a couple of really good players, but I think the stadium might be holding them back a little bit. I really liked what they were doing early season, and they just seem to have been really figured out. They're not changing things up. They just carry on trying to do the same thing, and it's not really working. Sounds familiar.
That sounds a bit familiar. I think interesting.
Painfully familiar. And my last note on it is the Steelers are shit, so they can't beat the fucking Lions. If they can't beat the Lions without Big Ben, they've got no hope about beating the Chargers. It probably will be bigger than a one-score game, but I don't know whether it's going to go beyond that 14-point margin. So I've played it safe and gone 7. Maybe
interesting battle in this game is the Steelers' O-line is pretty dreadful.
Yeah.
And the Chargers can't stop the run. So one of them's got to win. I'd probably just trust the Chargers a little bit more. They can't just win just by running all the time. I'm going to have to put Mason Rudolph actually to throw the ball at some point. So
yeah, and that's where it all falls to shit.
Yeah.
That's where it's all fallen to shit for the Steelers all season, hasn't it?
Well, they're not doing that.
I mean, they've had a few good games, right? But Big Ben,
Big Ben was the missing piece all along, and we didn't know it.
If they had a good quarterback in there, they could be way higher than they are. They have won a few games that they've lost. So.
Agree, and also I think missing Minka Fitzpatrick this week. He's on the COVID list, and he might.
And TJ Watt's been absolutely decimated, isn't he? So
might also miss a week. Apparently, the X-rays came clear on TJ Watt, but he might still have to miss a game because of bruising or something like that. I don't know, but
I wasn't sure on the status of that. But
soft lad, missing a game because you're bruised.
Yeah. You can tell him that. I'm not telling him that.
Yeah,
TJ,
definitely
you're
not.
a pussy.
There was some bizarre injuries actually this week. CeeDee Lamb left the game with a bruised arm, and I thought, right. Anyway, we digress.
It was one. It was one, wasn't it?
It was one, yeah. Monday Night Football. This is one of the other sort of primetime game that, another one of the primetime games. Yeah, this isn't one that's inspiring. The New York Football Giants travel to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers Tuesday, 1:15 a.m. Definitely worth staying up for. Nate, who you got?
The Buccaneers, 30 points to 20.
Is that it? That's the synopsis.
Yeah. Then what more do you want me to say? Do you want me to point out the obvious and be like, the Bucs are a better football team, but the Giants, while they're sort of bad, they still have the ability to put up a few points.
Well, the Buccaneers did just lose to the Washington football team.
But the Bills got turned over by the Jags. Weird shit happens all the time, man.
I agree.
The Rams got fucked by the 49ers. Weird shit happens. You're allowed you're allowed a dodgy game and then to come back, right?
Yeah. I mean, the Rams are phonies, but yeah, I agree.
Stevenage have equalised. Come on. FA Cup dream.
Yeah, we talked about this before. You don't want to play an angry Tom Brady, and I think
no, he doesn't lose often twice on the spin.
Yeah. At prime time, at home.
Yeah,
I just can't see the Giants getting a win here. Similar score prediction to yourself. On 16 points to 31. I think the Giants got enough to put some points up. Saquon might be back. Vita Vea might be missing for the Buccaneers, which obviously be a massive loss, but this is probably a week that they can survive without him. I don't know how long he's out for. Ross, you're pretty good on the injuries. Any knowledge? And you can throw in your prediction at the same time.
Dr. Ross.
Dr. Ross.
Okay, this is going to be quite funny because I was actually Googling something whilst you were talking about that guy, and I have no idea who we're talking about at this point.
Vita Vea.
Vita Vea, okay. Second point, I have absolutely no idea the injury status of Vita Vea.
Dr. Ross speaking like a true NHS doctor.
Yeah. Just didn't have a clue, mate.
There's good news. There's good news on the MRI.
There we go. And I'll take us home. I'll remind you guys of the 2020 result between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Giants, when the Giants were 1-6 and the Bucs were 5-2 going into the game on I think it was Sunday night or Monday Night Football. The Bucs made a 4th and goal stand in the last 2 minutes of the game to win the game by 2 points, 25-23, I think, something along those lines. And there was a questionable PI call at the end of it. I think it was on a 2-point conversion. That's what that makes more sense. That's not going to happen this time. The Bucs are going to absolutely thump the Giants because it's at home in Florida, and Tom Brady is mad, as we've mentioned. The defense is going to be all over the field against Daniel Jones, going to make him look silly, and it's going to be 31-3 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, it's not because we never get the scorelines right, but it's going to be somewhere along those lines.
Hey, you throw enough darts, one of them's going to hit a bullseye.
You say that, but when we finish the season with no perfect predictions,
it might be a statistical anomaly, actually, this show, and getting score predictions.
I don't think anybody's getting score predictions right this year, man.
I'd like to think that if I just predicted the same score for every single game, eventually it might come right.
That might be a pretty good tactic.
That's a new strategy to consider.
There's got to be like an anti-scorigami as well. Like the most frequent
common score.
Yeah,
it might become the Un-American Football Show Twitter account.
27-21 or something. A few touchdowns, a few field goals.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the slate of games. Some intriguing ones, some less intriguing ones, I think. But you never know on any given Thursday, Sunday, Monday or Tuesday, I guess.
On any given 2021.
Yeah.
Nate, so you came last out of the three of us last week. So you have first dibs on the top fantasy scorer for the week.
Alan, you're going to be beside yourself, mate. See the fucking lamb.
Oh.
I didn't realise he was injured during the last game, so that might bite me in the arse. But see the lamb. Look, he at this stage he's the wide receiver one out in out in Dallas, well Arlington, and the Chiefs are shit on defense, so he's going to torch them.
I like it.
150 yards, 2 touchdowns.
I take it. I'll have one of those to go. You see, I'm not all that confident with the Cowboys, and see, I obviously watch a lot of Cowboys games. So, despite picking the Cowboys, I'm going to go for Travis Kelce.
Oh, it's actually Ross's turn.
Oh,
Actually, Ross's turn.
Oh, you're right.
You won out
Thank
the
you.
week.
I'm not used to this position, you see.
Yeah, that's fair. I can understand that, Alan.
It's also only the second time we've done this, and you botched it up last week too. So
good.
I think you're going to be safe, Alan, because, or I hope, or actually, I don't really care if you're safe or not. Maybe I'm taking your player because I'm also going to the same game. I'm going to Cowboys versus Chiefs, and it's actually making me think that we should probably do like a live stream or something if we're all getting the same fantasy player from the same game. Maybe we should all chat on Twitter or something while the game's on. I'm going to pick the wide receiver from the Kansas City Chiefs, Tyreek Hill, who's 4th in the league in receiving yards with over 800. He just come off a 2-touchdown game against the Raiders, which usually means that he goes quiet for a couple of games. But on this occasion, I think he actually puts up back-to-back strong performances and is the leading fantasy player of the week.
the Chiefs really need him to, don't they? They really desperately need a couple of good games in a row. And
what they really need, and
I feel dirty saying it, but I really think the Cowboys are going to stifle them and they're going to shit all over them. They're going to piss on their chips.
I like how who beat, I think it was Cortland Sutton or Tim Patrick or someone from the Broncos who beat Trayvon Diggs last week, a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely,
and
mullered him, yeah.
I think Hill is a much better route runner and a much better wide receiver than him. And I just think that they're going to find some holes in that Cowboys defense for Hill to exploit.
You could probably argue, though, that Patrick's probably the worst wide receiver he's faced all season.
Probably wasn't expecting it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's probably fair. I think when you're playing Tyreek Hill, you expect that kind of speed, but we'll see. I think the Chiefs exploit that Cowboys defense.
I think Trayvon Diggs has better football mentals than he has actual ability. He seems to be able to read something before it's going to happen to make a play, and he's got good hands, which obviously helps. But I agree, he's probably going to really struggle if he's shadowing Tyreek Hill, for example, for the whole game. But they're not really throwing the ball downfield. I think 260 of the 400 odd passing yards this week from Patrick Mahomes was after the catch. So they're not the ADOT's really reduced compared to previous years. So sort of leaning into that theory, I've seen the Cowboys just get absolutely turned over by tight ends time and time again, including this week. The only time that the Falcons actually got into the red zone was when they went time and time again back to Kyle Pitts. So
scored really well in fantasy this week, didn't Kyle Pitts?
Well, yeah, in the first quarter probably, but we put into a lot after that. Unfortunately, Travis Kelce's got the experience that if something changes on defense, he'll probably still be able to find a place to get the ball. So I fear Travis Kelce in this one, and that's why I've gone for Travis Kelce.
All eyes on that game then.
Yeah. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. So good few games there, but as always, thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please drop us a comment, a like, subscribe, do your thing. Please also check out our other shows, which can be found on Spotify, Apple Pods, Amazon Music, etc., etc. Come follow us on Twitter @ToughShowOfficial, and come and join our Discord community. Just come talk good football with football fans from all around the world, and you can find out more about that on our Twitter and below. So, any final words ahead of Week 11, guys?
Fuck the Buffalo Bills.
No final thoughts. That was too good. I just have to leave that hanging there, I think, to be honest.
Super. Cheers, guys, and looking forward to another great week of football. Thank you, and goodbye.